Hey guys, Furples here, and welcome to the Reddit exclusive, episode 1 of the series that I've decided to title Tell Me Where I Fucked Up. So it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm a pretty inexperienced Hold'em player. I think I've studied the game for about 2 months, so definitely making a lot of mistakes. And I'm looking for feedback. So I'm four-tabling some 5 cent, 10 cent on Bovada here. I play on ACR a lot of the time, but because I have to boot camp to play it, the screen recorder just wasn't working on the Windows, so we're here with Bovada. So I think this series will be great because I think a lot of more experienced players will be able to identify mistakes and give feedback, which helps their game as well. And also a lot of inexperienced players might discover they're making the same mistakes that I am, so that's also going to be helpful. So if I get even if I get 2 pieces of feedback, like 2 comments, then I'll definitely make more of these. So hopefully we can find some interesting spots. I'm probably going to record for about an hour, and yeah, see what we can do. What's going on over here? Wow. Okay, so I believe this was a limp pot. I can't raise, but if he fires again, I'm folding. I don't know if that's a bad mistake. To call the flop with the intention of folding the turn when I have a hand like top pair weak kicker. And then again, I mean, a lot of these loose passive fish will only fire when they hit, and their aggression you can just take literally. So, on that topic, one of the things I wanted to cover is, and he's called as well, which is just okay. So I'm gonna fold again. One of the topics that I want to talk about is, and also I'm sorry if this is completely scatterbrained because I'm trying to multitask. Playing on anonymous tables. One of the series that on Deuces Cracked I'm currently watching, called Robbed You Blind, is about playing on anonymous tables, and essentially the theory is that when because most of your decisions you're making without a read, you're essentially what you need to do is determine how the average player plays, and then just play effectively against that player. Because when you don't have a read, that's going to be the most effective. It's going to be the most effective play. So essentially, treat the entire population of 5 cent, 10 cent players as one player. So if you don't have a read, then just act based upon what that average player would do. The other thing I probably want feedback on is spotting bad players. Like there's a lot of easy things to notice, like for example, like short stackers. So obviously, I mean, the guy who has 50 cents left, obviously a bad player. But okay, but like player number 4 over here with $6. I guess it's not too short, but it's still pretty short. Players running like 40 big blinds and whatnot, you can usually tell those are bad players. I mean, that being said, it doesn't really give you an idea of what kind of bad player they are, but usually they're loose passive fish. Other things that I try to spot is people limp folding and limp calling. I'll often tag those players, and also players that fold with like their whole stack in the middle, with like they call a preflop raise or preflop 3-bet for 80% of their stack, and then they fold the flop, and like things like that. I see a lot of those mistakes. Hopefully we'll be able to see some of those here so I can point them out. But I am not great at getting reads on players in terms of tagging them. Just like 90% of the decisions I make are without a read. So I haven't really found any interesting spots yet. Well, we pick up an okay hand on table, what are we going to call that? I don't know. table 2, table 3. It's a pretty good starting hand. I don't want to 3-bet with 10s. So we have a limper, so I'm gonna raise to 40 because it's a pretty good hand to raise with. I'm also gonna run through some hypothetical decision making, so I'm gonna say, like, if I had this or if he had that, then I would do this. Just because we get to analyze more hypothetical hands, and even if I make the right decision, if my thought process is off at any point, then just let me know as well. So this is actually a great flop for aces because there's a lot of jacks and kings in his limp calling range. I mean, the limp calling ranges at these stakes are absolutely horrible. They're usually like low mid cards, semi-connected. But there's definitely a lot of jacks and kings in his range. So it's a great flop to bet for value there. Okay, the money's gone in here. Put his money. Yeah, that's see like you do like so many players overvalue top pair. Like that player who just left, and they'll get their money in, all the money in on the flop with top pair, bad kicker, or top pair, good kicker. Definitely top pair, top kicker. A lot of players will do that. Problem is though, when a player like this player that was over here, now he's gone, I won't be able to tag him, so I won't be able to exploit him in the future, which is really not fun. Because oftentimes, the only times you get to see really exploitative play is when they've been stacked and they're gone. So that's a shame. But you know, I think you see more of that kind of play than you do at other card rooms anyway. So I have ace queen suited in the cutoff. I'm probably, depending on the player, I mean, when I have no read, I think I can 3-bet that in position if I faced a raise. But I know that's a pretty, it's kind of a marginal spot, and I mean, when you have a HUD, it's entirely down to a lot of other stats. But I feel, with, like, readless, I think it's I think I'm usually 3-betting ace-queen in position. Like, is that a spot where I should call? The reason I do that is because a lot of players at these, I'm going to bet for value here, a lot of players at these stakes, they'll just call a 3-bet with, like, really bad hands that I dominate. So his calling range here is, like, diamonds, a lot of kings, a lot of aces. There's not a lot of ace-kings in his range, especially because there's 2 there. Also, the audio on this, if you've gotten this far, like, and you don't have, like, ear cancer, then that's good. Okay, so it's a great flop for a c-bet. So I'm going to c-bet. Yeah, it's pretty standard. The topping up feature is kind of annoying that I can't do it easily. Facing a range on the button. Nope, I'm not playing that under the gun. Nope. So I think my pre-flop play is pretty good, but I definitely need, especially in multi-way pots, I find myself making a lot of mistakes. So hopefully we'll find some of those spots. Probably gonna record for about an hour. And so, yeah, that's where I need feedback. Also, nobody has any right to complain if I sound awkward or I misuse any words or terms, because trying to just talk to yourself for an hour is not easy. Okay, so we picked up a pretty good hand over here. So we're going to raise that. We got a call on the button. Okay. This is not a good flop to c-bet because there's so many Broadway cards here that you're not getting folds from. Obviously, it's like ridiculously wet. Check folding there. So this is a spot where, like, I think I have to c-bet, but at the same time I know I have showdown value, and I think I'm only getting called by a lot of aces. So I don't know if this is a spot here where I should be check calling, maybe. Because I'm obviously folding to a 3-bet here, and yes, this is a spot that I want feedback on. like, if I didn't have kings, if I had, like, a value hand or an air hand, then it would be easy to c-bet there, but the other thing I think I struggle with is playing hands like, okay, so we have a very good hand here. We don't want to get outdrawn because we're very likely to get outdrawn. So I'm going to bet out close to pot just because I don't want to see an overcard. I was just going to say, a lot of hands like ace-queen and ace-jack, I find them pretty difficult to play pre-flop because, well, no, they're easy to play pre-flop unless I'm either 3-bet or I'm in a position to 3-bet, and hopefully we'll find some of those spots. Because, like, I know when I'm playing against good players, wow, he got it in with 10s there, that's kind of ridiculous. Okay, so usually bet for value here. But yeah, as I was saying, I feel like I can 3-bet hands like ace-queen suited in position, because I know a lot of weaker aces and queens are calling me. Like, the average player at these stakes is calling me with those, so it's profitable. Also, it makes narrowing ranges really easy, because I know when I get 4-bet, I know I'm beat, and it's really easy to put them on a range when they call your 3-bet. Okay, king queen on the button facing a range. This is a spot where I think you can call or fold. I'm gonna call. I just want to see more flops, and for the sake of improving my post-flop play in this video, or getting feedback on that. Yeah, it's a fold. I think raising a6 in the cutoff is a little bit loose, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna raise ace-queen under the gun. I recorded a session yesterday, but all the audio got wiped out, so I'm recording again today. It was unfortunate, because yesterday's session I luck-boxed my way, played an hour, and I was up 5 buy-ins after an hour, which was kind of ridiculous. So he's bet 1/3 pot here, or 1/4 pot, so I think we have the odds to call, just obviously given the gut shot, and then given 6s and 7s are outs. And also, people a lot of the time they take those stabs with like really bad hands. Okay, that's actually not a terrible card, and so he's betting for value any of the hands that he's betting before. You see those weird bet sizes a lot. So I'm gonna check. I'm not sure if I'm check calling. It's probably something I should have figured out on the river. It depends. I guess it depends on the bet sizing. If it looks like a value bet. Okay. So it's kind of a weird. So I'm gonna tag 2. I'm gonna tag him with a little red flag because he took a stab at a pot with air, and also he was playing 5 deuce. Oh, it was a limp pot, so I guess. That's the only thing. I can't quickly tag hands like I can on America's Card Room when I play on that. Poker Tracker makes it so easy to tag hands and review them, so I can see how people acted. Top pair here. I'm gonna bet a little under pot for the same reason before, is that our hand is most likely the best hand, but it won't be at showdown most likely. So his calling range is a lot of spades, I guess a lot of other sixes, a lot of mid pair, pretty much any pair. I don't see him folding on the turn, given that he called the flop. And okay, so he's checked to us. The check kind of makes it look like he's on a draw. So I think the ace is, I don't want to turn my hand into a bluff and bet on the ace, but at the same time I don't really like check calling. So this is a hand I'd like some feedback on. So he's yeah, because he's bet a little under half pot. I mean, the ace does complete a lot of the draws. Well, 4 or 5 is the only draw it completes. But then also if he's floating me with like an ace X, like ace 2, ace 3, any of that. So I think he's checking behind a lot of his hands with showdown value. There. Okay, so we pick up a pretty good hand here, which is always good. We've been 3-bet, we're going to fold our a6. Okay, so we're facing a raise with ace-9 off. In that spot, actually never mind, okay, we're going to take down that pawn. I think I've been to the river twice in this session, so it's not the most interesting. I might actually just re-record the audio with a better microphone on my other session and post that one. So King 6 suited is definitely in my raising range on the button. Suited king, folding out the button. Oh, one of the other questions I wanted to pose. I don't know how people are going to respond to all these random questions throughout the whole video, but what kind of open, what are you, like how would one construct an open shove calling range at these stakes? Because I see that like at least once every session, in that somebody will, especially at, wow, that was interesting hand, and he's gone. Yeah, he plays an under pair, gets stacked. Actually, he could have had an open-ender there. I didn't really watch the hand. It depends where the money went in. But basically, at least once a session, I'll see somebody join a table, sit for a couple of orbits, and then open shove like 50 big blinds or something like ridiculous like that. So we have an open-ended, sorry, not an open-ended. We have a straight, a gut shot and a straight flush draw. So obviously, we're basically beating. I think even against sets in this spot, we have pretty good equity. So we're obviously betting for value, or betting not to build the pot, because we know we're ahead. This is another. Do I get the money in here? Because I know any two, any club. I know we have at least. This is a tricky spot. This is a spot where I don't know if I can call and reevaluate on the river. I'm going to call. And, well, it was fortunate that we called. But I don't know if that's a good call or not. I think a lot of ace-9s in his range, a lot of king-9s. I feel like most players he's doing that. Okay, so we have the hand, our hand does not need protecting here. And if we call, there's going to be just enough money to get it in on the river. That being said, if he's a hand like king-9 and he sees an overcard, maybe he's not going to get it in. So I think it's okay to get it in here. And he calls with his set. which is unlucky for him. Yeah, I think I played that badly. I'd like because I mean, if it, like, I know an open-ended straight flush draw has great equity against pretty much anything, but that was a gut shot. So I think we had about 40% chance to the river, so we had about a 20% chance of hitting there, and we probably would have folded to aggression on the turn if we didn't hit our hand. I think that makes it a bad play. So I think we really have to get all the money in on the flop if we want to get it in there. I mean, we had one overcard, gut shot, and flush draw. So, yeah, I'm not sure there. So we flop a gut shot. This is also playing draws at these stakes. I'm completely clueless. This is a spot where if I'm betting, I don't really know why, given that I know the chance of hitting a gut shot isn't great. Might be better to check behind there. But yeah, back to that ace-4 suited hand. Yeah, I think I had to either shove there or fold. But I don't think folding the nut flush draw with a gut shot and an overcard is a good idea. So, because I think we have fold equity if we shove there. And for all of his non-set hands, I think he's folding to a shove. That being said, this is like 5 cent, 10 cents, so you can't really say that. I'm not sure. I think we had fold equity to shove, and I think now I think about it, I think calling was probably the worst play there. But feedback on that would be good. A6 in the cutoff. I think it's a little bit too loose to raise. I've been using a lot of Beluga Whale, no, not Beluga Whale, Tuba Steve and Nowhere Man series on Deuces Cracked in terms of constructing 6-max microstakes ranges pre-flop by position. And it was posted like 5 years ago, so a lot of it's outdated. So if you see anything that doesn't look good pre-flop, it's probably because the stuff I'm reading is outdated. Okay, so we've been 3-bet here. We're going to raise queens on the gun. Check here. Oh, I didn't realize that was actually a good flop for C-bet. So I think I'm folding ace-jack offsuit to 3-bet. Our reverse implied odds with any kind of ace-queen, ace-king are horrible. And it's not even suited, so we don't get that. We don't get the yeah, we lose equity there. Implied odds go down when it's not suited. So I think we can fold. But like, I hate doing that because I know a lot of players will 3-bet with worse hands. The average player. Okay, so we have a pretty good flop for queens here. I mean, it's very draw heavy, so I'm going to bet on the bigger side because I want to give draws a bad price to call because a lot of, obviously clubs, but a lot of like ace-4 type hands that will call us. Gonna raise here. Okay, so I think it's just so draw heavy that I'm also going to bet again for value. Also my bet sizing, if you see anything weird with my bet sizing. So he's, wow. So he called our shove with second pair OK kicker, which is just, I mean, that's just a testament to the players. Pretty dry king high flop, great for a, I mean it's two-tone, but it's still pretty dry. I think it's great for C-bet. I think I have a bad habit of not paying attention to stack sizes during a hand. So I think 8-9 suited loses a lot of its value against a stack that's like 30 big blinds deep. So I think I still have to raise it because the position is just so strong. But things like that. So I pick out gut shot here. I think this board's a little bit too draw heavy for a c-bet, especially because there's so many tens in the range, diamonds, any kind of Broadway hand's probably going to call, and so I'd rather just check here. Okay, so we flop the nut flush draw, we're going to bet. Okay, down, check behind. Okay. Okay, so these players have checked 2 streets in a row, so I know they don't have, unless they have a weak showdown hand, they don't have a hand at all. So, okay, that was a bad. I did not need to bet near pot. That was poor. I meant to bet about maybe 60% pot there, because I can usually take it down, because I know that no players at these stakes will check behind 2 streets. Or not check behind, we'll check 2 streets with a bad hand. Too loose there, I don't want to raise a6 there. Okay. So, well, that's unfortunate. Well, he's picked up an out, and he hasn't hit it. King 10 off. I'm not playing that mid position. I'm folding to raise. I don't know why I tagged that player, because he took a stab at 1 pot. That was not a good note to take. I usually tag players that red little flag if I see them making like a super aggro move with air. And if I see, I haven't made any tags so far because I'm multitasking enough trying to talk and play at the same time. But I'll usually tag like fish with green, like aggro players with red. Wow, well, that was pretty lucky for him. Okay, yeah, I'm not c-betting into 3 players with just 2 overcards. I mean, there's so many pocket pairs in their range that they're going to love that flop with. There's so many, I mean, any ace-8, king-8 type hand, which do call raises pre-flop. You wouldn't expect they do, but they do. When I play America's Card Room, I feel as if most of the people I'm playing against are, well, I don't feel this way. I know this way because of my HUD, but I sit down at a table and there's a couple fish per table, even at 2 cent, 5 cent, but half of the players are like 24, 20, like regs. And then there's not many fish that are playing like 45 or 35, 5 and whatnot. Okay, so we've turned some showdown value here, so is this a spot where I should check call? Because, I mean, the question is the average Bovada player taking a stab at a pot when I've checked it twice? So, I mean, he checked behind the flop, so because he checked behind the flop, I'm going to call. So we made a pretty good hand here. I don't know if we should bet for value. I think it's. I don't know whether a check raise is better there. He's usually calling us with an ace that he's played weird. I don't know if that was how they played. I know, given that he checked behind the flop, which I don't think he's doing with a lot of his aces, and given that we checked the turn, I don't think it's a bad play. We have. I think I'm gonna bet for value here. Can. I'm not going to call raise there. Okay, so we have a raise and 2 callers, so we're going to bet pretty big. There's a lot of dead money. So his call usually means it's a lot of 8s. There's no draws. It's usually a king. We're going to check behind. I think he's checking behind his weaker kings. He's probably betting his stronger kings here. Can I bet for thin value? Like, how thin can I bet for value here? I don't know if this value bet is too thin. Okay, so, wow, that is... Wow, I 3-bet and got 3 callers. So I'm obviously not c-betting into 3 players, but, like... I don't know what kind of ranges I can put these players on to call. I'm expecting to see like jacks, queens, 10s, ace jack, that kind of hand. 10, okay, well, so this player, I'm going to make a little note. He calls 3-bets light. Because he called a 3-bet with 10 jack. Top up here. This is perfect to raise. So. Okay, so I know that player 6 is kind of a calling station. So I think the type of player that he usually is, given what he's done, is a player that's usually only taking stabs at pots he hits. So, I mean, when he donks out here, I mean, he usually has a queen. I have gut shot here. I'm not betting. I make my gut shot. Now I am betting, which is funny how that works. I have pot for value. Top pair, and I've been... This is a weird spot. So I raised, and he's donked into me. So I'm if I think of a 3-bet here, I'm only getting calls and raises. I'm like isolating all the hands that I beat. So I think it's really better to call. That being so, it was really small though. I'm not sure. So that completes the draw that he could be playing aggressively with. See, this is why I think I played the flop poorly in this hand. Because when I call a bet on the flop, I think I'm almost always seeing a turn bet here on this specific board. So I think maybe I usually fold. Do I fold my top pair, top kicker? I don't think I can. So, I mean, I'd like feedback on that hand. The A10 on the button is a little bit loose to be raising. I mean, if it's folded to me on the button, then no, I still think that's too loose. Well, we flop a flush draw here. It's relatively dry. I don't want to take a stab. Now I think about it, I think playing draws is my weakest. One of the weaker points of my game. I'm obviously folding to the pot here. We get punished for our good play. Okay, that's pretty standard over here. Well, it looks like we might have a full house going on there, which we do. I don't think I've limped yet. I don't think there are situations where I limp. Yeah, I don't. I know there are definitely plus EV situations to limp, but just so I can just kind of simplify my game and improve easily, that doesn't make sense. Just so I can simplify my decisions as I'm trying to improve my game. I'm not usually limping in any spots. I also try not to call a raise unless I have really good implied odds. Like, even suited connectors, I'm probably folding to a raise. I know that in one of Tuba Steve's series, like in his range for calling a preflop raise, like in position, he advocated calling with suited connectors, but I just don't. I guess I just disagree with him there. I might be wrong. Tell me if that's wrong. Like if I'm sitting on the button with 8-9 suited and I'm facing a raise, like a standard, let's say 3x raise, do I fold there? Like I'm calling with any pocket pair because my implied odds are a lot better with pocket pairs. Wow. Okay, so we have a raise and a 3-bet. I think I usually fold pocket tens here, especially with the short stack. I think I'm going to call. I don't want to fold pocket tens. Actually, yeah, I should probably fold pocket tens. I mean, but a lot of Broadway hands in their range, a lot of hands that are folding to this. I probably should have sized it better, given he's so short. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. I'm expecting to see an overpair, which we do. Which is, pretty unfortunate. Yeah, I think my reverse implied odds are actually really bad calling with tens there, because when I think I see a favorable flop, there's a lot of overpairs in his 3-betting range that are actually going to be horrible for me. So, yeah. So that was I just didn't want to fold tens pre-flop, which is bad, not good. If it was just a raise, I'm definitely calling and maybe 3-betting, but I'm not. I shouldn't be calling a 3-bet. Especially out of position. Actually, that's that's a Beluga Whale rule, if I believe. Don't call 3-bets out of position. So that was a completely horrible play. I just impulse called, which is not good. Well, we would have flopped a pretty good hand on this board. We're going to see 9-10 though, so we're going to feel better. Ace-10 suited, definitely raising on the button. Jack-6 suited, I'm not raising that on the button. On the cutoff, sorry. I think King-5, I think it's close, but I think you can raise that. Like, I don't raise as wide on the button, because when I first started playing cash games, with a suited ace, my implied odds are just so great that I think I can call here. And we hit top kicker. So, I'm not actually good in spots where I've called a pre-flop raise. Is this a spot where I 3-bet? Given the call, is this a spot where I 3-bet? I don't think I'm folding top pair tuck. If I 3-bet, I think I'm ISOing all the hands that I don't think any other tens are going to call me. But then am I just picking up the dead money? So I don't see an over. Because that's not a good card for us. I mean, it's not horrible because there's not many tens in ranges here. But like, I don't want to call another street here with second pair. Especially because yeah, so he's about half pot. Oh, I think a call is pretty spewy here. That was a misclick. Okay, so now we have to call, and I think it's my first live misclick, so we're gonna spew away some money here. And, okay, we are rewarded for a misclick. I'd meant to fold there, but I ended up min raising, or min 3-betting there, and getting it in. I mean, after I misclicked, obviously, with calling $2 to win 14, I had to call with anything, but yeah, I don't know why he's shoving there with no fold equity and horrible pot equity at most Bovada players. Sound like a condescending prick, but I mean, most Bovada players don't really understand any of that, so. Raising suited connector from cutoff. Oh, it's not a suited connector. Okay, that's 2 mistakes in a couple minutes. I think it's really funny that I misclicked there and stacked him. Check behind. No. If it gets checked to me again, then I know. I mean, it's just like kind of a rule of thumb that these stakes, when somebody checks 2 streets, that they're weak. Because if they're trying to slow play and you check behind, then they'll definitely lead out on the turn most of the time. The other way to identify fish is because they're talking shit in chat. It's also a good way to identify whether people are on tilt or not. Okay, so top pair. Okay, I think we have the best hand a lot of the time. So I think we have to lead out here. And that might be bad though, actually. Check calling might be a better option. Okay. Obviously folding to a re-raise. I guess it's kind of draw heavy too. I think the other bad habit I have is not watching other tables when I don't have action, which is pretty rare for tabling, but wow. See, this is why, like, if I zone out for 1 second and I miss a hand, I don't get to see what happened. Player 2 says, "You're the dumbest fucking piece of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 piece of 7 letters. What could he be a piece of? You dumb fuck. I hope you die. All you do is put your fucking chips in with bull and hit the fucking nuts. You dumb fucking fuck. Well, I think it's safe to say that the money went in before the river. This is funny, I was just reading the thread on Reddit about I think it was a Wall Street Journal post on poker, where they provided an example of not being results oriented, and in the comment section, obviously nobody had any idea what they were talking about because it's a Wall Street Journal post. There's a big argument on whether a pros would put their money in with pocket sevens, which is really funny because player 2 just put his money in with pocket sevens and lost. And he's still mad. Jesus Christ. This guy's having an aneurysm over here. Wow. See, this isn't bad. I'm getting distracted now, and that's really bad. Yeah, I'm not taking a shot at that. If he checks again, then I'll probably bet, but... And he's still ranting. Wow, this guy's like reading a book in the chat box. So, if he hadn't just been felted, I think, I'm not sure, I think I might tag this player as on tilt, because he seems to be slightly aggravated. Okay, we haven't actually found any interesting spots, which has not been great, but... See, I think a lot of people do that because it's an anonymous table. I don't think we'd see that in a non-anonymous table. It'd be great if we could, because then I could just tag that player as a spewy player, and it'd be easy to exploit that. Okay, I'm raising with pocket pairs in that position. So implied odds are pretty bad, given his short stack. Also, monotone boards. This is a good example. I'm usually c-betting here because he's folding without a diamond. But I mean, there's also a lot of draws that he's calling with. I mean, it's a terrifying board for most of his range, but still, I'd like some feedback on playing monotone boards at these stakes. Given the money, people will just get all their money in withdrawals a lot of the time. When we misclicked, that was a 10-8 or ace-10, no, ace-10 hand. Okay, well that is probably the worst flop we could ever flop with ace-king. Like, yeah, definitely the worst flop that we could have. And the money's gone in over here with, wow, okay. So, this player got his money in with top pair, no, second pair, weak kicker. So that's a good example of Bovada. And both of those players called raises with 5-6 offsuit, this player. So I'm going to put a tag here that he calls raises with garbage. Calls raises with garbage. And another player, obviously I can't tag him because he left, but I think he had, what, 6-10? So basically, I think that's a great example of why it's better to play super tight and aggressive. Or not necessarily aggressive, but because you're not getting many c-bet folds. Well, that's not what I mean. I mean, people are usually playing fit or fold and getting their money in badly. Like, if people hit at all, they'll often get their money in. Which, in a sense, makes them very loose, aggressive, but at the same time, when people don't hit, they... suited ace facing a raise. It's pretty deep stacked. I could probably justify a call here, but given that we're out of position, I think it's fold. No, not playing the baby ace. Definitely playing this in that position. Okay, I don't think this is a great flop for c-bet because most cards hit his range pretty hard, and he's short stacked, so he picked up an open-ender here. I don't even think we can call a raise here. Well, he's potted it for one. Like, our immediate odds don't give us the right odds to call. This is a great flop for c-bet. But then also, we don't have any implied odds because we just don't. So, because he's so short stacked. So I think it's a fold. If he was super deep stacked, I'd call. Because then, like, I'm felting him with his stakes, with his sets, and whatnot. Starting to pay less attention, so I'm probably going to end this session soon. It hasn't been great. Ace-9 suited, not under the gun, well, technically. My position's a little better than it looks because that player's not playing, so I can treat it like mid-position. Okay, he hasn't bet any streets, so I'm going to bet 15 here. Oops. Actually, I think raising ace-9 suit under the gun's probably a little bit loose. He's... okay. This is one of those spots where we have to be right so little of the time. But he's min... I don't know what that means. I have I'm going to fold, but we don't beat anything, but that's just weird. Like, what hand could he have apart from, like, an ace-5? Like, what hand does he have? Maybe he hits a straight on the river, but I don't know. Gut shot here. Wow, that's a very large 3-bet. That is 10 times our original raise from a player who calls 3-bets light. That's what the tag I put on him. Okay. I'm so glad that this player won. Because now, if player 4 reloads, we know he's probably on tilt. And also, we can tag player 6 because he's 3-betting with 5 deuce suited. And not only is he 3-betting with 5 deuce suited, he's getting his money in with... I don't think he hit a 5 there. So I know he's playing pretty much any 2 cards at this point. Which means that I don't really want to c-bet a monotone board in because there's a good chance one of them has a club. Fold. Maybe I should have raised that. Okay, so any club beats us here, and I don't see anybody folding a club. It's a pretty good chance one of them has a club. So I think I'm folding here. If it gets checked ahead, I mean, I know he's super aggro and he's probably betting without a club, but wow, okay. Yeah, it's a fold. So I'm pretty happy with that runner. So I'm probably going to keep the session going because I really want to isolate player number 6. Because I know he's 3-betting really wide, he's calling 3-bets wide, he's just kind of a maniac. Probably check calling. Oh, well. Okay, so player 4 is now definitely on tilt because he's completely overbet the pot and got a call there. I'm going to tag player 4 with a little cute little red thingy as well. If we had a bunch of callers here, I could probably call with 9-10 suited because our odds are so good. Wow, this is really strange. Okay, this is really weird. King 6. So, I believe he raised, he raised $1 with King 6. So I know player 4 and player 6 are playing pretty much anything. Which means my ace queen is crushing the range right now. And I'm probably calling an open shove. I'm going to be honest. Like, this is what I talked about earlier, is constructing an open shove calling range. He's just playing so loose. And he's just... I have to call, I think, because I think I'm beating his range. And he shows us 8-6. And so, as long as he doesn't hit there. Oh, he hit. I wasn't even paying attention. So yeah, that was a good call by us. So, and also I'm really happy he's still in the game, because if he's open shoving 8-6, that's good. I'm going to actually post, auto post, because I want to make sure I'm in the hand when he shoves. I mean, usually with no read, we're obviously maybe folding ace queen to a, to a crazy open shove like that. But, like, against this player, I think it's a good call. Because I think we're basically ahead. Like, there's nothing in his range. I really want him to hit a jack or 5 here. Oh, he doesn't. It's unfortunate. So, he's getting his money in with jack 5. He's got his money with 8-6. He's playing any hand here. I'm not going to see that check call. Okay. Check call again. So now we're just waiting for really any hand that we can abuse this player with. Oh, that was bad. That was over pot size bet. That was poor. No, it did not mean to call pot size bet there. So player 6 is sitting out, which is pretty unfortunate because we really need him to be in the game. Oops, that was also I'm just misclicking all over the place today, which is not ideal. So we picked up the nut flush draw. Sure, range. Oh, I did not mean to bet pot there. I'm just worried. We really want to get our money in good against player 6 as soon as possible. Player 4 as well. I don't think he hasn't done anything as crazy as player 6, but he's definitely playing garbage as well. So being in a table with two maniacs is kind of, it's pretty ideal. I think we can call ace-jack in position. If it was out of position, we're definitely folding, but I don't mind calling and flopping pretty well. Gonna raise ace-jack. Not c-betting here. So this is one of those spots where the pot's so big already that it might be better to check and induce, because there's the only hands we're going to get calls out of are like weaker aces. There's only one ace left in the deck. There's not many threes in their range. Like if they have a pocket pair, then maybe. I think I'm going to check behind here, because there's like a third of most of his stack in the pot, a third of his stack. I still think there's enough time to get the money in and induce. And especially with so much money in the pot, people are taking stabs like that really often. And I mean, if somebody shows us ace, queen, ace, king, then nothing's going to change it. I'd rather any of the hands that he could have that he's betting that, he's not going to not bet the river. And I don't want to shove on him here because I don't want him to... I'd rather give him a chance to bluff at it again. I'm going to call my pocket pair. And he's going to shove here, and we're going to call. Okay, you're going to call. He shows us king 5 for absolute air. So that's a great example of why it was better to call there, because he had air, so we're going to tag him the little red thing because he aggressively plays air. If I would have shoved, I think, at any point in that hand, I don't think he would have folded, obviously, because he had air. So it was much better to check behind the flop, because there's so much money in already that the money was still going to get in if he decided to bluff at it, so it's better to induce there. Okay, so player 6 is at his own shenanigans again. Okay. So he's raised 50 big blinds here. As soon as we really get... I need to think about what hands I'm going to be calling his crazy raises with. So I need to pay closer attention to... actually, raising with king 8 suited with the maniacs there is probably not a good idea, because I know I'm going to get 3-bet a lot of the time, which I don't. Wow, okay, so we know... I'm playing... we're crushing player 6's range right now. Backdoor flush draw, top pair. And I know these players are calling me super wide. So actually player 4 is calling me pretty wide. So I'm going to bet for value again. If he plays back at me, I'm going to have to make a decision. Which he doesn't, which is good. It's a relatively good c-betting spot. I mean, the 8 and the 7 are kind of in his range, but... I mean, I don't know. I think that c-bet's kind of marginal. Depends on a lot of things. Wish I had stats on 6. Just to be interesting to see what the numbers he's running on. It's probably running like a 90-50 or something like that. Suit it? No, I don't know. I mean, kind of getting immediate odds to limp there, but... Well, he's bet 5 times the pot here. Didn't hit our set, but it's great because we're likely to be outdrawn and we want to pick up the dead money, so we're going to see about this. So he's donked out on us, which pretty much gives us an easy fold. I think my goal is actually going to be to try to see as many flops as possible with player 6 because our implied odds are ridiculous. So I'm obviously folding to raise from player 2, but player 6 and player 4 are basically limp calling any 2, I think, and then raising. I don't think there's a differentiation between their raising and limping range because they shoved, I believe, like 8-6 offsuit. Ace Jack in the small blind here. I am going to raise, obviously. Ace King here. It's pretty good hand. It's one of the better hands. So I'm gonna 3-bet with it because it looks good. Good old AK. AK. The Axter. 3-betting ace queen from the button, I think, most of the time. So he's called our 3-bet, which means that we can probably profitably c-bet here. Which he's called. This is a weird spot here. I'm probably 3-betting here. If I bet, he's really only calling us with a 10 or something else. So there's a lot of mid pairs in his range too. So I'm check calling here. I'm raising for thin value. No, I'm folding there. I'm probably gonna raise for a pretty thin value here. Trying to get value out of like hands like jacks and queens and weaker kings and things of that nature. And maybe I should check behind, because I know that if I get check raised here, it's not good. That is not an argument for not going for thin value, because obviously we were able to extract thin value here, which was good. So I have to put him on a hand like jacks or queens. I can understand how a fear of being check raised prevents a lot of players from betting thinly for value. Okay, what do we have here? Okay. Standard overbet by player 6 and player 4 here. Okay, so he shows down ace high. I mean, he's barreling every street with adding 2 cards. Well, it looks like my girlfriend is here. Okay, I'm going to raise with 6s. No. I know if I hit a set on this board, I think I can even call, honestly, if player 6 raises. But then the issue is I know he's barreling on other cards, so I think it's not usually a good spot to be in. Which is a shame.